always mix the meat.
It's a very special edition of the Local Legends podcast. Our first ever live episode as the brackets have come out for high school football in the state of Michigan. They were announced on the NFHS network at 5 o'clock, so 2 hours ago. And this is the schedule for this show. We are going to have Brett Bakita will join us at some point, and he will talk matchups with us and just the path and the direction some of these teams are going to go and some of the matchups we're looking forward to and what we think could happen. We plan to talk to East Kentwood head coach Ty Spencer. The Falcons are 7-2. They are the 2 seed in their Division I district, and they went east. So no OK Red rematches for East Kentwood. That is until they would get to the regional championship game where they would, if they can beat Grand Ledge, which they'll host this week in the first round, then they would play the Howell Kalamazoo Central winner. So if they win 2, they would then get the winner of the OK Red district, which Hudsonville hosts Jenison, Rockford hosts Granville. So we're going to get to all that and plenty more. We'll also plan to have Belding head coach Monty Price on the show. Belding is 8-1. They are the 1 seed in their district. And now I think Division 6 is pretty good, right? There were a lot of chances for a tough district. I think Belding ended up in a tough district because Olivet ends up as their 2 seed. I think Olivet's really good. So Belding hosts Ovid Elsie, potentially a Belding Olivet district final. I know Coach Price probably didn't want to talk about that because he's just going to be worried about Ovid Elsie, but I'm just here to tell you that if we get that Belding Olivet district final, that could be one heck of a football game. So we'll have all of that. And we'll make some predictions too, and make some predictions who we think is going to get to Ford Field, who we think is going to end up winning it all. So that's all to come on this live episode. Ash is potentially going to join us at some point. He's got another engagement right now. If he can, he will jump on with us as well. So we do want to mention that this show is being presented by Aaron Consulting. Since 2020, Aaron Consulting has helped to support high school programs, coaches, and families navigate the turbulent waters to the college athletic recruiting process. With over 20 years in the recruiting space, Aaron Consulting is expertly positioned to provide guidance on the best practices to ensure coaches are educated and families know what to do and when. Contact getaaron.com today to schedule a free consultation or by scanning the QR code to discuss how Aaron can support you this school year. So right over here is that QR code to scan and check out what Dan Fedrosi and company is happening. And not to mention, if you use the code Local Legends at checkout, you will get 10% off your Aaron membership. So make sure to use code Local Legends. But Aaron Consulting doing great things, parents, athletes, but coaches, high school coaches need help with this stuff. I mean, there's no question about that. And they do some great stuff with that. All right, so let's dig into these brackets a little bit, and we will start with Division I. There's the Division I bracket. If we look at it, we see the OK Red district. Hudsonville is hosting Jenison. This game was 42-0 just a few weeks ago. But don't forget, this is a big rivalry. Jenison has been playing at a high level on the defensive side. They do have Brody Scheidemann, who's really good. Hudsonville, obviously, defending district champs. They've won 14 straight OK Red games. And then you get Granville at Rockford. A lot of things to mention with this matchup. A year ago, Granville beats Rockford in the regular season. Rockford beats Granville in the regular season a year ago. And then in the playoffs, they met first round at Carlson Munger Stadium, which is where this game will be. And Granville won it, right? Granville upsets Rockford. They go to the district final. Hudsonville played a whale of a game with Hudsonville in that district final. Of course, no Jaden Terry, right? Without Jaden Terry, Granville has been a different team. Any team would be if they lose their best player. Well, they took Hudsonville right to the wire last week. A great game 2 nights ago in the regular season finale. So anything can happen this time of year for sure. I know Rockford hasn't forgotten that Granville beat them in the playoffs last year, but certainly Granville has to have some belief because not only did they play really well against a really good Hudsonville team last week, but they did go to Rockford and win. So here's the big news, right? We knew somebody with 5 OK Red teams, somebody was going to get out of this all OK Red district, and it happens to be East Kentwood, which was the most likely just geography-wise. East Kentwood is the furthest east school by geography, in the OK Red, and so they are going east. So they'll host Grand Ledge. Now Grand Ledge is 7-2, and the Comets have an outstanding program. I mean, you would think East Kentwood would be a pretty solid favorite in this matchup. Grand Ledge's losses were to Detroit Catholic Central and DeWitt, two teams that are 9-0. They were not particularly competitive in the DeWitt game. They were competitive with Detroit Catholic Central, so should be an interesting matchup. Kalamazoo Central at 6-3 goes to Howell. Howell out of the KLAA. Howell's going to be a big favorite here. Wing T team, a team that won a regional last year. And East Kentwood would then have to go to Howell. If the higher seeds advance here, East Kentwood would have to go to Howell for that district championship game. Again, I've made my feelings clear on this. I don't know that home field makes that big of a difference in high school football, but it is a little bit of a trip. East Kentwood Howell's got to be a couple hours there on a bus. Interesting. So you look down the bracket here, Detroit Catholic Central, Heartland, West Bloomfield, and Brighton. Certainly the Shamrocks will be heavy favorites to come out of this district. There was a point in the middle of the season where West Bloomfield was playing really well. They stumbled a couple of times coming home. But look at this district right here. Holy smokes. Clarkston, Davison, Grand Blanc, and Oxford. Now, Davison's the 4 seed. That's crazy to think of a team as talented and well-coached and just good as Davison to be a 4 seed. Clarkson had more playoff points than anybody, so they're going to be a 1 seed no matter what district they're in. That's an interesting matchup, Davison and Clarkson. Now, Davison had their big matchup 2 weeks ago with Grand Blanc, and they lose that one, by 4 scores. And do they get a rematch with Grand Blanc in the district final? Who's going to come out of that district? I mean, my goodness, if it's Grand Blanc, a lot of people are going to pick Grand Blanc. Yes, they're the 2 seed. There's going to be a lot of great games in that district, but there's a potential for Detroit Catholic Central and Grand Blanc to meet in a regional here. That would be, some people have them as the 2 best teams in the state. Now, I'm a firm believer that Cass Tech's the best team in the state. You got a potential Saline Belleville district final here. And here's Cass Tech. How about Northville? At one point, Northville's the only team to beat Howell this year. Northville was riding high, and they stumbled a couple of times late, and now they're going to Cass Tech in the first round. Tough draw for Coach Luplow and company. But you figure Cass Tech Saline, if the seeds hold in that regional final. And then you got the Rochester district here. I think Stony Creek's really good. They were very close to beating Harper Woods, went for 2 in the final minute to win it, and they were ruled not in. It was very, very close. Adams has been a team Ash and I have been high on all year, highly ranked Adams. So Adams won a regional last year, lost Hudson in the semifinal. And then down here at the bottom, Romeo's your MAC Red champ, right? But you got a couple MAC Red schools in there that they'd have to fight through. Dakota certainly is a talented team. They lost to Utica just a couple weeks ago. That's a rematch. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in Division I. And we are expecting to be joined by Ty Spencer from East Kentwood to chat about this here in just a couple of minutes. So, but the big story over on the west side of the state here is East Kentwood goes east. And then I figured we'd get the all OK Red district, it's news to you, who's as good as anybody at doing this. And we love following him. He had Kalamazoo Central coming up into here and Rockford and East Kentwood both going east. I did not expect the MHSA to do that. I figured they would put the 4 OK Red schools together as they did. And so there we go. We got the OK Red district as we always do. We move over to Division II. I'm excited about this. Mona Shores at Muskegon at Hackley Stadium. This is just the 3rd all-time playoff meeting. 2015, they played at Mona Shores. That was a Muskegon win. And then 2023, they played at Hackley, and Muskegon won again. So just the 3rd time we'll have seen this matchup in the playoffs, and this is going to be our game of the week on 107 MUS The Moose. So Tom Kendra and I will be at Hackley Stadium for Mona Shores and Muskegon. We were there in week 6 when Muskegon won at Mona Shores 27-12. They got off to a great start in that game, led 27-0 or 28-0, and then Mona Shores came back with a couple late scores there. But you never know when these two get together what's going to happen. So that'll be an exciting matchup. Muskegon got thumped in week 9 by Cincinnati Moeller. I don't have any details on that. There's the chance that Moeller's just really, really good. They usually are. There's the chance that Muskegon didn't play well. There's the chance that I don't know who all played, who all didn't play for Muskegon, but I think the Big Reds have a chance here to make a run, but it's certainly not going to be easy against Shores in that first round. And then the Traverse City Schools just played last week. West beat Central at Thurlby, so they'll turn around and play again at Thurlby Field. I generally like the team that lost the first matchup in a rematch. So you see this rematch 2 weeks in a row. And then we bump down here. So Portage Central, the 1 seed, Byron Center, the 2 seed, Portage Northern, the 3, and Lansing Everett, the 4. So Portage Central going to be a big favorite here against Lansing Everett as they'll host the Vikings at McCamley Knight Field. Byron Center, Portage Northern District, they certainly have lots of playoff history, and it was just a few years ago that Portage Northern came up to Waddell Field and won in the first round of the playoffs. I just think that Byron Center have 5 straight wins after that 1-3 start, and it's not like they're beating bad teams in this 5-game winning streak, right? They beat Mona Shores. They just beat a team, Morris, Illinois, that was undefeated last week. They beat Forest Hills Northern, and you can say, well, Forest Hills Northern 4-5. They also just scored 70 points last week and have a ton of talent. So I think Byron Center is really trending right now, and I like them against Portage Northern. Byron Center, Portage Central in the district final. I mean, everybody loves my friend Alex Pallone from Perp Red Zone just put out his predictions. He's got Portage Central winning the Division II state championship. I think Byron Center has a chance to beat him in the district final. I think that'd be a whale of a game. So you move down here. East Lansing's a team that got off to a terrible start. They've started to play better, but Midland Dow is a team a lot of people like at 8-1 out of the Saginaw Valley League. Waterford Mott is a team that I think's been a little under the radar this year and could potentially make some noise. So that'll be an interesting district that I think a lot of different teams could win. How about this? Brother Rice and Orchard Lake St. Mary's from the Catholic League. Neither one gets a home game. Walled Lake Western, the 1 seed, North Farmington, the 2. I actually think that this will be a Brother Rice St. Mary's district final. Maybe I'm too high on the Catholic League. There are people that are telling me that. But over my history of covering high school football, that Catholic League's been pretty darn good, especially this time of year. And, of course, Brother Rice just beat St. Mary's 2 weeks ago. I actually think that they'll play in the district final, and it'll be St. Mary's, the defending state champs, that advance. We'll see. Dexter here, maybe a little bit of favor. South Lyon is undefeated. You got Dexter's, who only loss was to Saline. They're the 2 seed. Gibraltar Carlson's undefeated. Groves is a team that's played well. Warren Mott. So you got 2 Motts in this district, in this division. Yeah, so going to be interesting. Going to be interesting in Division 2, no question about it. Moving over to Division 3, Mount Pleasant's 9-0. Gaylord also 9-0, so that's going to be a battle. But here's where it gets really interesting. I love this game. Cedar Springs and East Grand Rapids. How great of a first round game is that? Wow. I think that's going to be really good at Memorial Field. These teams, of course, have some history as well. Coopersville, Kennewaw, a rematch. They met twice last year, with Kennewaw winning in the regular season, Coopersville winning in the playoffs. This year, Kennewaw wins in the regular season. This was a great game just 2 weeks ago. It was Brett and Buck's game of the week on 96 won the game, and Kennewaw Hills scored late to win 34-31. I mean, boy, that's 2 really good matchups in that district. Really good. And then you see the Zealands go south to play St. Joe and Niles. This is another one where I think any of the 4 teams could potentially win this district. Zealand West is 6-3 after the loss to West Catholic. Niles is 9-0, and Niles did get to Ford Field last year. We have to remember that was in Division 4, and Niles is really good. But they have a freshman quarterback who's been outstanding. And they play an entirely D4 league. I mean, Edwardsburg, Vicksburg, Pawpaw, these are all good teams, all D4 teams. They did beat St. Joe in week 1, 28-18. Do we get a rematch in the district final? Do we get a rematch of the Bird Bowl? Could be Zeeland East, Zeeland West. Zeeland East is a team I was super high on coming into this year. They've been really, really battling injuries, and they're starting to get a little bit healthier. Jack Campice is back. That's a big deal for them at running back. So could they go down to Dickinson Stadium in St. Joe and advance? That's going to be a fascinating district. Here's to me the biggest storyline coming out of the D3 brackets. So many West Michigan teams. Where are they all going to go? Lowell goes south. So Lowell's going to be the 1 seed. So at least a couple home playoff games if they keep winning. Take on Coldwater. Coldwater's really good out of the Interstate 8. They've had a really nice season. And how about this one? TK and Hastings in a rematch. Of course, rivals. They've played week 1 for many years in a row. Not separated by much geographically. And this year in week 1, Hastings kicked the field goal in the last play of the game to win 31-29 at TK. So now they'll play at Hastings. And remember, that'll be 9 weeks in the past by the time we get to this game on Friday night. I think this is going to be a really good game. But I do think Lowell's a little bit of a favorite to come out of this district. And potentially, I mean, boy, any of these teams I could see getting to a state semifinal. That's just, I think, a wide open part of the bracket right here. But I think Lowell has as good a chance as anybody to end up in this state semifinal matchup, which will be interesting. I was thinking we might not see East Grand Rapids Kennewaw Hills till semifinal. That's a potential district final, but I don't even know if we'll get it. because each one has such a tough first round game. You start looking at the bottom of this bracket, everybody loves DeWitt here. It doesn't seem like DeWitt has much standing in its way from a semifinal. Out of these teams, Mason has been historically good and just played Harper Woods tough in week 9, but they're 5-4 this season. Fenton and Holly, that's a border war. So I really like DeWitt getting to that semifinal. There's no limb there. How about Martin Luther King Riverview? Martin Luther King's 5-4, right? But 2 losses to Cass Tech. Just lost to Detroit Catholic Central. Lost to a really good team out of Ohio. So this is a team that I think is still the favorite to win the state championship in Division III, even at 5-4. But Riverview is a really good opponent in the first round. And then how about De La Salle sneaking around down here at 3-6? I like De La Salle to come out of this district. I know they're 3-6 against a really, really tough schedule. Their coach certainly knows how to win games in the postseason. He's made a living of winning in the postseason. I think we have the potential for a De La Salle King regional final. That would be entertaining for sure. So that's a look at D3. D3 was one that really jumped out to me when these brackets came out. Division 4, we talked with Ludington head coach Charlie Gunsel on Friday night, and he predicted this. Snooze had this as well. So this one kind of went the way many thought it would. So it will be Ludington and Big Rapids in this first round playoff meeting. They met in the playoffs for last year in the first round. Big Rapids won 28-21. I think both teams are better than they were last year. That's saying a lot, but both teams are really good. Big Rapids just got its first loss to Coopersville, but Ludington is 9-0, and there it is, a potential trip to Escanaba for the winner if Escanaba can beat Freeland. Escanaba's 8-1, only loss was to Gaylord. So, and Coach Gunsel talked about the long trips. In fact, they not only went to Escanaba in 2018, they went to Sault Ste. Marie in 2019 and 2020. So when you're in Ludington, just geography-wise, you end up making some long trips. But they first will host Big Rapids, and Coach Gunsel talked about how tough Big Rapids is and what a great game. That should be a great matchup right there, Big Rapids and Ludington in the first round. Unity Christian, 8-1, number 1 seed in the district. They'll take on a rival in Holland Christian, but we haven't seen them play in football for a couple of years since realignment in the OK Conference. And then Spring Lake goes to Godwin Heights. Godwin Heights 7-2, Spring Lake 6-3. I really like Unity Christian in this district. They lost to Pontiac Notre Dame Prep in week 9. And if you go back to last year, Unity Christian and Notre Dame Prep played in week 9. At Notre Dame Prep, Unity Christian won the game, but they ended up losing in the district final. Notre Dame Prep went on and won the state championship in Division 5. I think playing from behind like Unity Christian did on Friday, facing a little adversity, getting handed your first, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I still really like Unity Christian with the potential to make a run here, and I like them in this district. And now look at this district down here. This is fascinating. Harper Creek 8-1. Remember, the only team to beat Kennewaw Hills this year. Harper Creek, only team to beat Kennewaw Hills this year. Harper Creek won the Interstate 8. Their only loss came to Cedar Springs way back in week 2, I believe. It was certainly early in the season. Grand Rapids Christian is a team at 5-4 that did stumble with the loss to Holland Christian last week, but with some of their playmakers, Elder Grover and Breckton Musin and Charlie King, who's a junior, who's a second-year starting quarterback. They do have potential, and I think this will be closer than maybe you would expect a 1-4 matchup to be. But how about this right here? South Christian goes to Portland. Portland's really good, really good, undefeated. The senior class is special. And I think Portland can make a run here. I think Portland can get to the state semifinal. I don't think that's crazy at all. I think a state semifinal is potentially even likely. But this first round matchup with South Christian is not easy. Sure, South's 4-5. They have played an incredibly difficult schedule. They certainly have talent. They have a coaching staff who's been there and knows how to win this time of year. I think this is a really good matchup, Portland and South Christian. Just contrasting styles, the difference. That's a really good game. So that's an interesting matchup right here. And then you go down to the Wolverines. You got the Wolverine draw. And remember, Niles won the Wolverine, right? So Niles is in Division 3. So you got the second, third, fourth, and fifth place teams from the Wolverine all going to do it over again. Paw got as a team that got off to a slow start, but finished the season with, I think, five straight wins, really starting to play well. Had early losses to Niles, Kennewaw Hills, some really good teams. Vicksburg is a team that I think is really good. They have outstanding quarterback play. Edwardsburg is always there and just gave Niles its closest game of the regular season last week, 21-12. Edwardsburg lost, but this game was 38-35 in the regular season. So that'll be interesting. But I do think Portland, if it can get past South Christian, I think Portland would be the favorite in this region, but I think maybe their toughest matchup could be that first round game against South Christian. And up here, I do like Unity Christian in that region. A potential Ludington Unity Christian regional final, I think, would be really fun. We get to the bottom of the bracket. Williamson's undefeated. A potential rematch with Hazlitt. That was a close game. I think Williamson beat them 20-14 in the regular season. So if they play again, I wouldn't be surprised if Hazlitt got out of there. Goodrich is the defending state champ. They're undefeated, but boy, Noel Dean and Chelsea are looming down here. A Goodrich-Chelsea district final will be interesting. Divine Child's a team I've been really high on. Their only loss came to a team out of Toledo this year, but Harper Woods is the team to beat. I don't think anybody's going to question that. They have 2 wins this year over 2 of the best teams in the state in Division I, in Clarkston and Saline. So, yeah, I think Harper Woods is the best team in the state Division IV for sure, if not the best team in the state, period. That doesn't mean they'll win the state championship. There's lots of hurdles for them, including potentially Dearborn Divine Child in the regional, potentially Goodrich, defending state champion in the semifinal, and then certainly whoever comes out of this top half of the bracket is going to have a really good chance as well. So Division IV is really fascinating. All right, Division V. What really jumps out in Division V is how is this all going to work out? Catholic Central and West Catholic end up in the same district. Not surprising. We all knew that was going to happen. Whitehall and Oak Ridge get split up, though. You can see a lot of these have been done north to south, right? And so Whitehall, a little bit further north, they go with the further north schools like Swan Valley, Clare, Tri-County. Whitehall can win this district. Anybody could. This is a wide open district, in my opinion. Swan Valley's only lost to Frankenmuth, who's really good. But yeah, I think Whitehall could win this district. I think Tri-County could win this district. Like that's going to be a fun district with a lot of close games. Then down here, we're going to get it, right? We're going to get I love what Justin Dennett's done at Kellogg'sville. It's an awesome story. Oak Ridge, I just saw in week 9, played really well, beating North Muskegon. But I think Catholic Central and West Catholic are the two best teams in the state in Division V. And this matchup would occur in the district final at Cougar Stadium. The last 2 years they played at West Catholic. Catholic Central won them both. This year it would be at Catholic Central. The Cougars, of course, are 9-0. And then you see Hopkins go south. There was a thought that maybe Hopkins would end up in this district. They go south to play Kalamazoo United. United's had a really nice season. I think this is a good matchup. Hopkins is playing well right now. They're really good on defense. And then you see Berry and Swings and Dwajak. I don't think it'd be crazy to see Hopkins win this district, but at the same point, I think it's pretty wide open, and you probably have to consider Kalamazoo United a little bit of a favorite. You got on the bottom half of the bracket, you got Gabriel Richard, undefeated. A team that would probably be, Monroe Jefferson's 8-1, but I would think Gabriel Richard would be the favorite to come out of this region. And at the bottom, you got the defending state champs, Pontiac Notre Dame Prep, and you've got Frankenmuth. Frankenmuth's only loss was to Goodrich in week 1, so we could get a rematch of the state championship game in the regional title game, and that's what I expect. I expect Notre Dame Prep and Frankenmuth in the regional final. And remember last year they played in the state championship game. When you look at the split of this, Frankenmuth and Swan Valley in the same league and very close to each other, they end up on opposite sides of the bracket. So that can happen. And there was certainly some hope that that would happen to these two, but of course it did not. And the Catholic Central West Catholic game will be in the district final. All right, Division 6. We are expecting to have Monty Price on here in a little bit, and he will talk about his Belding team this year and their matchup with Ovid LC. You look at this. This is just, you got Kingsley and Traverse City St. Francis on a collision course for the district final. They played earlier in the season. St. Francis won by a point. And then you look here, Reed City is really good. They lost to Kingsley early in the year and then lost to Big Rapids in CSAA red play. Central Montcalm Montague. This is an interesting matchup. Montague's a team I like. They've won 4 in a row. They started 1-4. They won 4 in a row at 5-4. They go to Central Montcalm. Central Montcalm's been impressive to me, beating Hart, beating Chippewa Hills the last couple weeks. They lost their big game to Kent City for that league title in week 7. They bounced back and played well the last 2 weeks. So I think this would be a really close game. I do think that Montague could win that for sure. Reed City, though, I would call the favorite to come out of this district. So you could get a Reed City Kingsley rematch here if Kingsley can beat Traverse City St. Francis in a rematch. I think St. Francis, though, is a team that certainly could come out of this region as well. So really good teams in the top half of this bracket. And you come down here to Belding. So Belding will host Ovid LC at Redness Field in the first round of the playoffs. Ovid OE is a solid program, no question about it. One of their 2 losses was week 1 to Tri-County, and they end up Tri-County ends up in the playoffs in Division 5. But Kent City, how about that? So this is big, right? Kent City 9-0, they're on the road. Kent City doesn't get to play, and this is where we need to see the regional. That's where everybody wants to go with this, because we've seen this. We saw Comstock Park a few years ago go 9-0 and have to play at West Callick in the first round, and we saw last year Northview go 9-0 and have to play at Byron Center in the first round. And now it's Kent City. And I'm just talking about schools on the west side of the state that we follow really closely. I'm sure it certainly happened in other places. But Kent City at 9-0 has to go to Olivet 8-1. Now, Olivet's earned that. I mean, Olivet's only loss was to Portland, who's really good. So I think this is a great matchup. And if Belding can survive, I think we're set for a great district final there. If it's Olivet Belding, that'd be a great matchup. If it was Kent City Belding, that'd be a great matchup of two Wing T teams. But what's very interesting to me is, by geography, Olivet and Jackson Lumen Christi are not separated by much. They are fairly close, and yet they end up on opposite sides of the bracket, kind of like Frankenmuth and Swan Valley. So Olivet's probably really happy with this draw, because I think as a three-time defending state champion, even with 3 losses, Jackson Lumen Christi is looked at as the best team in Division 6 and the team to beat. So Olivet probably happy to go away from Lumen Christi and not have to play them until the state championship game. But of course, plenty of hurdles to clear there. But Lumen Christi down here on the bottom half of this bracket is going to be a big favorite in all of these matchups. Ida is pretty solid. Yeah, it'd be hard pressed to see anybody come out of that bottom half of that bracket that's not named Jackson Lumen Christi. And then the top half of the bracket, I think you could see Kingsley, you could see Traverse City St. Francis, you could see Reed City, you could see Belding, you could see Olivet. There's lots of contenders in the top half of that bracket, much tougher than the bottom half, in my opinion. All right, Division 7. Menominee is undefeated. Menominee is a team. North Muskegon got to the regional last year and went up to Menominee and won. Menominee seems to be even better than it was last year, and I would say a heavy favorite in that district. Look at Shelby. Shelby avoids the West Michigan Conference foes, and they'll go north to Leroy Pine River. Morley State gets in at 3-6. They go to Harrison. I'd say a pretty wide open district there. But again, I think Menominee, I'll be surprised if Menominee isn't sitting there in the state semifinal game. And then tough draw for our 2 West Michigan Conference schools here, Ravenna and North Muskegon, because Paloma Westphalia is really good. I think Paloma Westphalia could be considered the favorite to win the state championship. Ravenna is playing well, and a team I think that could make a run. They've started to play really well here in the second half of the season. That win over Oak Ridge in week 8 almost had a comeback win against Montague in week 9. So I think they're playing really well, but boy, Paloma Westphalia is just a tough draw. We saw them in week 1 at North Muskegon. Ty Thalen's an outstanding quarterback, and they are really big and physical on the lines. You see North Muskegon at home, so the Norse will host Saranac. Saranac's 7-2 out of the CMAC, so Saranac's only losses were to Fowler and Paloma Westphalia. So I think this is actually going to be a really good game. Potential for a rematch, though, of North Muskegon and PW in that district final. Of course, that was our game of the week on 107 MUS The Moose in week 1 at North Muskegon. That was a game PW won 35-6. Having seen North Muskegon last week, I do think they've improved as the season has gone, but I would call Paloma Westphalia the team to beat right now in Division 7. And we go down this. Look at this. This is super interesting to me because that Greater Thumb League, which is really good, Laker and Cass City. Remember, Cass City beat Millington. Millington's defending state champ. Cass City beat them this year. They're on the opposite side of the bracket from Millington. So Millington wouldn't have to face these schools that are really close to them, Laker or Cass City, until a potential state championship game. So, and then you got Valley Lutheran, who's undefeated and the top seed in this district, and just beat one of these teams. So, and you can never count out Ithaca as well. So that's an interesting district. Schoolcraft Galesburg, you like the Eagles here. Lawton Constantine just played last week. Lawton won by 9, I believe. So rematch time. That'll be interesting. Constantine and Schoolcraft have a long history. Do we get them in a district final? And Lawton and Schoolcraft in the recent years have become rivals and played really close games and been really good football. So that'll be a fun district as well. And potentially the winner of that could win the regional as well. Of course, Osh's surprise team in Division 7, his team to make a run is Bronson. Vikings have had a great season at 7-2. And then you look down here, Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, who always always wins lots of games this time of year. They were a state runner-up last year to Millington. This is another one where we could see a rematch of the state championship game in the regional final if we get St. Mary's, Catholic Central, and Millington. But my goodness, is this a tough district? Clinton is really good at 7-2. Ottawa Lake Whiteford is really good. And you got St. Mary Catholic Central in there. I mean, boy, whoever survives that district is going to be dangerous. I think Millington got a much better draw and will be a heavy favorite to come out of this district. But my goodness, that is a difficult district right there with North St. Mary Catholic Central, Clinton, and Ottawa Lake Whiteford. I do have Point Westphalia as the favorite to win the state championship. Menominee could be really tough. All right, Division 8. You know, you look at it here, not a ton at the top half of the bracket. Harbor, to me, there's three teams in Division 8. We touched on this Friday night that are really, really good. They're Harbor Beach, they're Hudson, and they're Beale City. And so Hudson got the good end of it. They're in the bottom half of the brackets. The top half here, Harbor Beach, going to be big favorites to get this potential regional final with Beale City. I'll be surprised if we don't get Beale City and Harbor Beach right here. And I think that'd be a whale of a football game. Whoever wins it will be a heavy favorite in the semifinal. And I like Hudson here. I don't see a ton of hurdles for Hudson just because they're so darn good. You got Riverview Gabriel Richard, who was in the state championship game last season. I believe they're 4-5 or 5-4. They've certainly had their losses. You got Fowler, who doesn't appear to be quite what it was a year ago. So, yeah, I think Hudson gets here, and I think they'll end up playing the winner of that Beale City Harbor Beach regional final winner. That's what's going to be interesting for sure. All right, I do want to touch on a little bit of 8-man football as well. You know, Martin is going to be, I think, the team to beat in Division 1. 2 divisions in 8-player football, and I really like Martin. I really like Martin in Division 1. You look at Inland Lakes, it's going to be tough, right? Inland Lakes with Travis Myers, head coach. He's a Belding alum. That dude's doing great things at Inland Lakes. I expect Inland Lakes to get there. And then Martin, I like Martin out of the bottom half of this bracket and potentially at the Superior Dome. Martin and Indian River Inland Lakes would be my prediction in that one. And you look at Division 2. I think Division 2 is really fascinating, really, really fascinating when you look at especially the bottom half of this bracket. I think Portland St. Patrick could be considered the favorite. St. Pat's, the Shamrocks have a chance, I think, really good chance to win this. But Mendon, I mean, these teams are all the same region, Mendon and Sacred Heart and St. Pat's. I think whoever wins that region could bring it home. I really do. I know North Central has been a dominant team in 8-player. But I think that whoever wins this region between St. Pat's, Mendon, and Sacred Heart, Grand Rapids Sacred Heart is really good as well. And so that's a heck of a first-round matchup, Sacred Heart and Mendon. And then winner of that against St. Pat's, I probably lean towards St. Pat's right now to win it there in 8-player. So we're expecting Brett Bakita to join us, and we'll bring him in just as soon as we get him. And since he's not here yet, I'll just give my predictions. Here's what I think is going to happen in Division 1. Boy, I think we're going to get Rockford and Hudsonville, and I'm going to take Rockford to upset Hudsonville in there. And I think we're going to get Rockford, East Kentwood, and I'm going to get East Kentwood to upset Rockford. I got East Kentwood in the state semifinal. But I do think we're going to get Detroit Catholic Central and Cass Tech is going to be my pick to get to Ford Field in Division 1. Detroit Catholic Central and Cass Tech will be my pick in Division 1. All right, Division 2. Boy, Byron Center is a team that I just really like right now because they're playing so well. And so a potential regional final with Muskegon, if Byron Center can get past both portages, I think whoever comes out of that region will have a good chance in that state semifinal. I'm going to take Muskegon to get to the final and play Orchard Lake St. Mary's. No, that's the semifinal. Oh, wow. I'm just now realizing that St. Mary's and Brother Rice are on the top half of the bracket. So Muskegon would have to play St. Mary's or Brother Rice in the semifinal. Yeah. All right. So that changes everything. I'm going to have St. Mary's getting to the state championship game. Who's going to come out of this bottom half of the bracket? I think no matter what we get, we're going to get a team we haven't had at Ford Field before, right? And nobody in the bottom half of this bracket has played at Ford Field in a state championship game. That's interesting. I think Dexter has a real chance. Carlson's undefeated. Groves Point South might be my pick there. I wonder if I'll go Groves Point South. It did not even dawn on me that St. Mary's and Brother Rice, that's never happened before. They're always on the opposite side of the bracket from the West Michigan schools. Very, very interesting. All right, I'm going to go St. Mary's and Grosse Pointe South in Division 2. All right, Division 3. Boy, this is going to be tough here. Who's going to come out of this district? And I do like whoever comes out of that district to get to the semifinal. I have Lowell in the semifinal. All right, I'm going to go with Kennewaw Hills. I'm going to go Kennewaw Hills Lowell. How about RCA matchup in the state semifinals? That would do wonders. That would do wonders for that conference for sure. And then everybody likes. I mean, we're going to get DeWitt and King in the semifinal. I got King over Kennewaw Hills in the D3 title game. That's going to be my pick there. All right, Division 4. I like Unity. I think Unity Ludington would be great here. I'm going to go Unity Christian Portland in the semifinal with Unity getting to Ford Field. And then, yeah, I mean, it's going to be Harper Woods. I got Harper Woods over Unity Christian for sure. Harper Woods over Unity Christian for sure. All right, so Division 4, I'm going to go Harper Woods over Unity Christian. All right, Division 5. All right, Division 5. I apologize, by the way. I thought I was sharing my different brackets here, and I know I left up the D1 bracket that whole time. I went through this the first time. So anyways, Catholic Central West Catholic is Catholic Central West Catholic. That's the state championship game. I'm going to take Catholic Central over Notre Dame Prep in the title game. That's my pick. All right, we'll come back to this. We're going to bring Brett Bakita in now. Hey, Brett, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Jay, here we go. It's like Christmas, Selection Sunday.
I've just been sitting here for the last 37 minutes talking about myself, so I can't tell you how glad I am to see you on here.
Well, everyone's kind of figuring stuff out, Jay. So, it takes some time. I had to do the same thing. How it goes.
It's been a brutal 37 minutes, so hopefully it can get a lot better now that you're here. How much have you had a chance to look at these brackets and what's jumped out to you?
What jumped out to me, if we're looking at matchups and everything, is not as many like West Michigan all-inclusive districts, which I think is good. So we could get some regional final matchups or even semifinal matchups. I like it when we spread it out a little bit. I mean, I realize every state deals with this. It's not like it's just a West Michigan problem. You and I know that, whether it's Kalamazoo or whether it's Detroit area where they beat up on each other too. But I like to see that, and I thought they did a pretty good job this year of getting that as far as all the divisions. If you're asking me one division that jumps out to me, and it's not because Buck and I are kind of looking at this district and division anyways to do our first week game, but I really love Coopersville at Kennewaw Hills. Seen that one already. And then in that same district, Cedar Springs at East Grand Rapids, with Kennewaw Hills being the number 1 seed. I mean, the matchups there galore, not only for week 1, but whoever wins those games, it's going to be a great district final as well. I thought that was great with the RCA teams, and then throw East Grand Rapids into the mix. Remember, their first loss in week 1 was to an RCA team in Lowell.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I agree. I think that district is super fascinating. So you're deciding between those two games, or you think you're going to lean to do Coopersville Kennewaw again?
We haven't seen East Grand Rapids yet this year, as you know, Jay, and you guys are the same as us. We try to get, unless there's something like Muskegon and Mona Shores, which is a natural, right? You got to do those rivalry games. We looked at, Buck, Gino, and I, East Grand Rapids and Unity Christian were the two teams we were kind of targeting that we had not covered this year, believe it or not, in the regular season, especially Unity, who was going for a perfect season. Then they lose to Pontiac, Notre Dame Prep in week 9. Not like we're holding that against them, but the Crusaders are really good. So in doing that, we thought East Grand Rapids would have a better week 1 matchup, and it would be at Memorial Field, which is just a beautiful setting, as you know, this time of year. So we looked at East Grand Rapids, and then we were thinking it was going to be, remember, Zeeland West, or maybe even a week or so ago, Middleville, which again, we just saw Zeeland West, but we wouldn't have seen Middleville yet this year. And so that was enticing. And now we get Cedar Springs at 8-1, who is the lower seed here. It has to come to East Grand Rapids. You know the history with these two teams, especially come playoff time. And boy, it was just like, it was an easy decision for us. So Buck and I a little bit earlier today just said, you know what, we want to do East Grand Rapids. They are at home, but now we get them against Augusta Polka and Cedar Springs, another team that we haven't covered this year. So that is going to be our week 1 matchup.
So you're doing Cedar and East Grand Rapids. I love that matchup. I really do. All right, so let's talk about it for a second, because East Grand Rapids, what's made it so good these last few, essentially since the Lowell game where they just got crushed in week 1, is their defense. I mean, defensively, they are so good, but they have not faced an offense like they're going to see in Cedar Springs. So who do you give the advantage to when you talk about what Cedar does offensively and what East Grand Rapids does defensively?
Well, here's the one thing I will say, and you know how coaches like to prep. We talked to this week on our show on 96.1 The Game, Brandon Kimball, and he said, I purposely worked out a contract, remember, with Kent City because they run a similar offense to Belding. And then you've got Hopkins that's already in their OK Silver mix, who's similar as well. So he wanted to get as many looks as he could. With East Grand Rapids, what you look at is, okay, they struggle with Lowell, and we know what that's all about. And they also scrimmaged Zeeland West. And so that's one of those where I look at where they knew down the line, being where they are, that, you know, a Cedars looming there in Division III. There are plenty of Zeeland West. There are plenty of teams that run that offense, and we better prepare for it. The one thing I love about East Grand Rapids, as you know, and I saw it in that scrimmage, I have not seen them in the regular season, I've just seen film like you have, is the fact that they are physical. They're big and they're physical. And if you want to stop an offense like Cedar Springs, you certainly have to be physical and match their physicality. But if you're bigger than them, advantage you. And I just point to teams like Catholic Central that they used to face, right? Who's got an outstanding defense. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm not saying that that necessarily is the answer for East Grand Rapids, because like you said, I mean, what happened way back in week 1 with Lowell, and Lowell kind of ran all over him. I think East Grand Rapids is a different team since then. And certainly Cedar Springs has faced a lot of different offenses and good teams. And let's face it, a very balanced, but I think good, better than last year, RCA. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think balanced again. You're right, but I think it is a little bit better, and I think that's evident by the teams they got in the playoffs. So, all right, we have Ty Spencer ready to go. Hopefully, you don't mind staying and chat with Ty.
Absolutely.
Don't mind. Before we bring Ty in, though, real quick, Brett, Lowell's draw. I mean, Lowell goes south, and I really like. They're the 1 seed in their district, and I think they have a chance here to even maybe win a regional.
I do too, and it's one of those because of the number 1 seed. You know, you and I differ as coming, you know, from playoffs and regular season as far as home field advantage. I know bus trips, you do agree with me. If you have a long bus trip, like a Coldwater to Lowell, it's a pretty long bus trip. That favors the home team. But I just think Lowell playing there is a special place with their history and tradition. And the fact of, you know, you're the number 1 seed and people have to come to you. There's something about that when it comes to high school football. And so I really like Lowell. I thought Lowell got as good a draw as they could get.
I agree. They'll play Coldwater at home, and then they get the Hastings Middleville winner, and
by the way, Jay, real quick on that, how about that for a nice rematch? You know the rivalry there. Week 1, it was a 2-point game. Hastings wins. It's going to be at Hastings, and I love that matchup. And good for TK because, you know, TK is one of those teams that they've kind of had a little hard luck, but they got into the playoffs, and let's see what they can do. It's like a brand new season, right?
It really is. It really is, and you know that district above too was the only West St. Joe and Niles. But let's bring in East Kentwood head coach Ty Spencer right now. And let's chat with him just a minute. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
How we doing today, guys?
Doing great, doing great. All right, so you guys just saw your draw a little bit ago. What was the first thing that you thought of when you saw what you got?
Man, just excited to get to work, man. Honestly, you know what I mean. You know, something a little different, you know, breaks up the monotony a little bit for us, you know, going somewhere else. But, you know, the preparation and stuff doesn't change, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to go play a Grand Ledge team. And the good thing we get to host, you know. So I don't think we hosted since 2018. So that'll be great for, you know, our people here, our community. So excited about that. And, you know, we're working as we speak.
Ty, I got to ask you, now that you've been through it the second go around in the OK Red, we always talk about, if there's a team that can avoid the all OK Red district in Division One, it's nice because to the point that you just said, it's tough to come up with when you're talking about coaching 17, 18-year-old kids. First of all, forget the first game, whether you won or lost, right, in a meeting like that. But then number two, what else as a coaching staff can you put in? Can you add? Can you do different depending if you won or lost against a Hudsonville or a Rockford? You don't have to do that. I see that as a big luxury. We always say if you can get outside of West Michigan, regardless of what division is, I like our football compared to other teams' football.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would agree. I was just telling somebody that, some of the teams that we played, the athletes they had, you put them in any other conference and they're competing, you know what I'm saying, at a high level. So, but at the same time, I will say that it's also a little easier when you have played them before.
Right.
So as far as just preparation, you don't have to look at what are they doing new? What is this? What are we going to call this? Where it's okay, we know these guys. This is what they're going to do. And let's just go at it. But I'm excited about it, man. I wanted to host a playoff game and we were able to do it. So, we're going to take it and then go from there.
All right. So tell us about your team, right? Because you guys have, you went 7-2. You've progressed as the season has gone along. How much better do you feel like your team has gotten? How prepared do you feel like your team is for this postseason?
I really think, just like Brett was saying, I really think this OK Red prepared us, man. So I think we're battle tested. I think the two teams we lost by 8 points total. So I think our guys are ready to go. We just have to be disciplined. Not shoot ourselves in the foot. Give ourselves a chance. And I like our chances, man. We're gonna take it one game at a time and just really work at the little details and things that we need to do to be successful. So, but right now we're healthy. I think we got one defensive lineman banged up. But I think we're pretty healthy and kind of good to make this run. And I'm excited for it.
Ty, I always look at senior leadership this time of year. You know that with your MLK days, who are your senior captains, your senior leaders that are going to pick guys up after you have adversity? You guys in those two losses you talk about, those are winnable games. And we did the Rockford game, obviously the Hudsonville game, the tip in the end zone.
Yeah.
Talk about how your guys and your seniors, maybe like Cade and other guys, stepped up and responded to your team that next week in practice.
Yeah, I really loved this senior group is real close. So our center, Charlie Nichols, he's like a 4-year guy for us. He was one of those guys that definitely is stepping up. And he's somebody that everybody just leans on, on the football team. Cade is definitely that same individual. And just today, I had the seniors talk about what does this mean for them, because I didn't know this, but our freshman team, they only won one game their freshman year. They won no games their 10th grade year on JV, and now they're 7-2 hosting a playoff game as seniors. And so they talked about that, and they talked about how it means so much for them. And they're a real close group, and I think they'll have us steady as we continue to go.
All right, so what you obviously had so much success in the playoffs at King, right? All the state championships, so many appearances. You know what it takes to win this time of year. So what is there anything that any wisdom you impart on your team, or anything you say to your team from your experiences that you use this time of year?
One thing is you got to take it 1 week at a time. If you look ahead and you look at if this guy beats this team and we can, you don't want to do that. You got to take it 1 week at a time. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you got to be prepared for the unknown. The coaches are good. They're prepared. They're going to throw some things at you that you've never seen, and you got to be able to withstand those blows. And so just preparing your kids for when it comes, just lean on your fundamentals and the stuff that you work on every single day so it doesn't affect you. It may be something you don't see, but if you lean on your fundamentals, you should be fine. And so that's really a big thing that I think just kind of goes underneath. It's not really about plays and, all that type of stuff. It's really just, can you weather those things that are going to come to you that's a little different, that you may not have seen? And can you handle the elements? Can you handle the colder weather? Can you handle, that type of stuff? And I always tell my teams, if you want to play in November, you'll play. If you don't want to play, you want to go home, you'll find a way, an excuse to want to go home. So that was just some of the things that I really talked to our guys about.
Ty, I don't know if you had this as far as when you were at ML King. Obviously, you know a lot of high school coaches around the state of Michigan and are getting familiar with the ones here in West Michigan. One of the things that I always think is interesting, and I love it because it's family, it's fraternity, right? I mean, it is still high school sports, is the fact of coaches leaning on each other from experiences and different things. I know a lot of coaches, when they go to Ford Field for the first time, they ask other coaches, what do they need to prepare for that they don't know? Just kind of like you alluded to as far as road trips or weather or whatever, or practicing in an indoor facility like Jennison has or whatever. And one of the things that they always said to me is Ford Field is hot. You have to prepare for how warm it is. And you know what I mean? And that's just a little detail that we're not thinking of as media people, but how important is that?
Oh, it's extremely important because it gets cold outside, so everybody's wearing these long socks. And so it's funny you said that. I never thought about it, but if we went, I would have told everybody, no, you're wearing socks, don't go past the calves, because you're going to get, unless you're hydrated, you know, which is going to take a minute, you will cramp up, and you see it all the time in Ford Field. So that is like a little nugget in there that, you know, just experience of going down there, understanding that can happen. The other thing is that people don't know is that back locker room is extremely far from at halftime. So you are walking really far to get to that locker room, you know, and then talk to your team and come back. And so you just got to be real detailed on that too and planning that out if you got that far locker room.
All right, so you play Grand Ledge. You've only known for like 2 hours. How much have you learned? How much have you learned in that time? What do you know about Grand Ledge?
Yeah, they're pretty multiple in some of the things that they're doing. You know, it looked like early on they were doing some things, and then they kind of, as the season wind down, you see them doing some other things. So we're seeing like some wing back sets with guys. You know, they like to run the stretch play with the wing and play action off of it. You know, we're starting to see some things that they like to do. They're big up front, it looks like. Good sized guys. Quarterback is pretty decent, and I think they got some guys on the edges. So, I mean, we just have to, you know, play our brand of ball and just really, you know, rely on our guys, because they really want to keep our offense off the field. If you look at the way they play, they want to possess the ball and control the clock. So we got to do a good job of getting off the field and allowing them to allowing our offense to get on there as much as possible.
Ty, how fun has it been now in year two? I mean, I saw at the Rockford game, kids are enjoying the experience. They're really bonding with your coaching staff and with themselves. And I can tell when a team is going to take that next step, in my opinion, when I see kids talking to other kids, communicating, right? They're really soaking up and enjoying the football IQ or education that goes on. How big has that been for you and your staff in bringing that to kind of to East Kentwood?
Yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been great. The kids are like really serious about it. After I talked to them after the pairings, like the linebacker group met right away and had their own meeting and stuff like that. And you know, you could just tell that it really means something to them. Like being able to teach them the game and have them pass it on, like even to the younger guys, it's important to them. And so, you know, I'm just proud at the way they've really just throughout this whole year have been consistent with us and showing up all summer, and you know, just the sacrifices that they put in. And so hopefully we can make a little bit of a run out of this thing, you know, before it's all said and done.
Coach, you talked about the weather, right? And how you got to be prepared for the elements. I mean, it could snow and snow a lot on a game night. Yep. It could blow 40 miles an hour. Obviously, you guys have a really good passing game with Cade Kaufman and your core receivers. How has the running game come along for you, and how is it ready for if we get some weather here in this playoffs?
Yeah, our running game is kind of by committee. We didn't have that 1,000-yard back. I think Bam Nettleman is like close to 400 yards, and then we have like two other guys that have like 300 yards rush, or you know, 350 plus rushing, including Cade Kaufman. So, you know, we're strategic in that as far as, you know, running our quarterback and doing some of those things. I've noticed that like on the west side, if you can run your quarterback and get that +1, that definitely can help you win some games. And so we've done that a little bit, but at the same time, we got to get ready for that. We got to practice some under center stuff, and we got to be ready for it because it's gonna come. You know, you got to be ready for it. So I think our backs will be up for the challenge, and I think we had a back run for 80 yards, but everybody has 7 to 8 carries. It's not like we're giving somebody the ball 15, 20 times. And so, but I'm pretty sure we can do what we need to do to win.
Ty, I'm going to have you take off your East Kentwood Falcon hat here and just talk high school football playoffs with us. And the fact of this, you know these teams.
Yeah.
Not to get ahead of yourself, but Region 2, Division 1. Jay, when he opened, he asked me, he goes, what looks good as far as a local district? And I said, well, I like Coop and Kennewa Hills and, Cedar Springs, East Grand. I looked at that Region 2, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, Detroit Catholic Central, West Bloomfield, Davison, Clarkston, all in the same region?
Yeah, man. That's a toughie there. Those are some – I know those coaches well, too. I know all of them well. Jake, I went to school with Jake. I know Justin really well. I know the coach at Clarkston. We this past year we've really formed a little bond. So that is going to be wow. Like
I forgot Grand Blanc too, Coach.
Oh, man, yeah, that's going to be a tough one, man. That's and hey, man, you gotta that's how it is in Division 1. You know what I'm saying? The good thing is you don't have to play everybody, but sometimes you got to go through that gauntlet. You know what I mean? And that's a toughie, man. So I don't know who's gonna come out of there, but I can tell you what, Clarkston is a battle tested team, man. I think CC is too, and it'll be fun just to watch from a distance,
Great stuff. Hey, we appreciate it, Coach. We can't wait to watch you guys in the playoffs. Thanks for your time on the show, and good luck, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty.
All right.
Ty Spencer, head coach at East Kentwood, joining us, and we'll go right from one coach to another. We got Monty Price from Belding. Coach, how you doing?
Good, guys. How's it going, man?
It's going great. All right, we got a lot of stuff to get to with
Jason, can you hear me good? I don't have a great connection where I'm at. I just want to make sure you can hear me all right.
Yeah, you're good, Coach.
Sound good.
All right.
Sound good.
I don't sound as good as Ty, but
none of us do. You're good. All right. So when you saw the bracket, when you saw your district, your matchup, what was the first thing you thought?
It was totally unexpected. We had 2 or 3 scenarios that we were thinking where we would go, and once again, the MHSAA fooled us.
Hey, congratulations, Coach. Let's not forget about outright OK Silver champions. And I just want to talk about that atmosphere at Rudis Field. And I know you have a lot of respect for Godwin Heights and their coaching staff. I mean, that was just cool to see winner take all in Week 9, wasn't it?
It was kind of the perfect setup, Who would have thought, going into Week 9 that both teams would be undefeated in the league and getting the opportunity to play that game late in the season for all the marbles. And it was a good atmosphere. And like you said, tremendous respect for Coach Kimball and the Godwin Heights kids. They're a really good football team. They are very skilled. And we're expecting them to do some damage in the playoffs as well, or at least be, a very formidable opponent for everybody. But tremendous game. Our kids played very well, responded great. And we were fortunate to come out of there with a win.
How big of a deal is it for you in the program to have won the OK Silver 4 straight years? And not only won it, you went undefeated through all 4 of those years. How big is that for your program?
Oh, it's huge. That's our goal. We want to win the conference championship. That's first and foremost on our minds. We feel that if we can win a league championship, we'll certainly qualify for the playoffs and perhaps set ourselves up for a postseason run. So, that's numero uno for us, winning that conference championship. And fortunately, we've been on a pretty good run. We've won 23 straight. And, I think it speaks volumes about our kids and how hard they work.
Monty, I want to go back to, I think we had you Week 4, if I have that right, at Holland. And it was fun. Buck Chino and I were just watching you on the sidelines at times. And you could see that you were kind of working it together, kind of putting pieces together, saying, okay. And you had told us before that game that, guys, we haven't played a complete game. We just have not played a complete game. And even though you had some penalties here and there and some things that frustrated you, I thought that was Belding football. Like you were getting back to it. I could see it starting to come together. Talk about from that game forward, because you guys have just really rolled and you've scored a ton of points doing it with that big physical offensive line in your running game.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I think that was, kind of our coming out party, the game where we started to play a little bit more consistently. The first few weeks before the Holland game, lots of inconsistencies and obviously cost us at the Reed City game. But we hadn't put one together. And I think that one was, the start of it, where we started to see what our potential could be. And got that consistency going, at least with the offense. And from there, I just think we've been improving week to week, and we've strung together some great games, and our kids have just continued to improve week to week and get better. And I think that's speaks volumes again to how hard our kids work at practice and how seriously they take it, to improve. And they've done that. They've answered the call and accepted the challenge. And I think at this point, we're playing pretty good football.
Coach, I want to go back to that, because the Reed City game you don't score, and then the Hopkins game you win, but you only scored once. And that hasn't happened to you guys in a long time. And I watched the Reed City game, and you lost the battle at the line of scrimmage. When that doesn't happen to you guys often either. What did you do to fix that? Because you've been scoring 45 points a game the last 6 games, and you have been pushing people around. So how do you flip a switch like that?
Well, first of all, Reed City and Hopkins, they're pretty good. They make it difficult, especially Reed City. I mean, they've got a great history, and they had a really good coach a few years back, I know. But anyway, they're both solid football programs. And I mean, obviously Reed City's run in the last 15 years speaks for itself. So, I mean, they were part of the process and the problem, that they're big and they're physical and they play hard, and Hopkins is the same, great deal of respect for Cody and what he does. And, but, I think to answer your question, it just goes back to continuing to worry about what we can control, and that's ourselves, not worry about anything else. And just, grinding every day at practice to get better, and trying to address some of our flaws and some of our fundamental issues and technique issues. And we've just done that. We've got a great coaching staff, and we can identify things we need to work on, and we hit it hard and rep it out every day in practice. And our kids have just continued to improve. And, then once you get some things rolling, when we played Holland and we got some things going, the confidence, grows, and our kids start to believe. And from there, anything can happen.
All right, so week 1, you get the Ovid Elsie Marauders. Coach, I'll tell you right now, my parents are from Elsie, back when it was Ovid and Elsie, and there was a guy in the backfield named Bakita, my dad, that was a pretty good running back for the Big Reds. They don't have him anymore, so my allegiance is now to the Belding Black Knights, but I do know they have a great program, and you know that, and they have for years. What do you see in Ovid Elsie in week 1 coming over?
We're right in the middle of kind of evaluating them. And initially, I see, a couple kids that can really hurt you. They got a couple really good skilled players up front, big, strong kids. I think they got some farm kids over there, and they look to be just as big or bigger than we are. And I think we're pretty big up front. And, they've had traditionally they've been pretty solid, and they've had some really good games, and they're a solid football team. And they've played some tough competition, so they're going to be battle tested. I think it's fortunate for us that we get to host. They're going to have to make the trip, but we're going to have our hands full for sure. They're a solid team, and they're going to be dangerous, and we're going to have to be at our best.
Coach, we talked about obviously how great you guys have been winning the OK Silver, and just you guys have been great in the regular season. You've been at Belding. You haven't had as much playoff success. Haven't won a district title since you've been there. I know you're 1 week at a time, and this week against Ovid Elsie is important. But do you guys spend any time thinking about or talking about what it's going to take to go a little further in the playoffs?
Well, as long as I've been doing this, I know it takes a lot of luck. I mean, you got to have a lot of things go your way once you get in the playoffs, and you got to be at your best, because any night could be your last night. So we've just been talking about, and preaching consistency, and again, worrying about those things that we can control. Let's not worry about what Ovid does. We got to worry about what we do and get better at what we do, and embrace the repetitions, and embrace practice, and embrace the preparation. and go out and just let it rip and play football and be confident and believe and and then it comes down to who makes plays and who executes better. So, anything can happen, and we're just hoping that we're going to be prepared and be the team that can go out and make more plays on Friday night.
Monty, to the point where I said Holland kind of was the game where you flipped the switch a little bit. Jay made a great point there. You guys have been rolling since that. What do you think was your most complete game? I mean, I was very impressed with the Muskegon Oak Ridge win, but in your assessment with your coaching staff, what would you say was your most complete victory this year?
Wow, that's a good question, Brett. Oak Ridge was a great game. I mean, obviously the tradition that they have over there and Coach Parker taking that program over. And I mean, he's been an Oak Ridge Eagle for his whole life, I mean, they're just so good and their tradition is amazing. And they're good. I mean, they're a quality opponent and they've got skill and size. I mean, they got all of the pieces. But we played really, really good. I think our defense was lights out. I don't know if they had first down until late in the game and they scored on, our seconds and our quarter kids. Our kids just rose up to the challenge and we executed at a very, very high level. And, our offense was really good in terms of grinding it out and maintaining possession to keep their offense off the field. But defensively, man, that was one of our best. And, I think that would probably rank right up there as one of our most consistent games.
I want to ask you about the defense because I've watched 3 of your games this year: the Reed City game, the Kelloggsville game, and the Oak Ridge game. And your defense, I think it's been really good this year. Can you tell us about the defense and how good it's been?
Yeah, that's something that we focus on. You run the T and everybody thinks you're just an offensive minded guy, but really, we believe defense wins championships, and that's our focus. We spend the most time on our defense. And, after last year losing some vital components to our defense, we were, a little skeptical on who would step up and fill those positions. But our kids have worked really hard, and we've been playing really good defense. We've had a few issues here and there, a few mistakes, a few errors, which has cost us some points. But overall, we've been solid and we've been tackling pretty well. And, our defensive line are all returning. So I think that's a big, big point for us. When you got those front 5 guys that have that experience, a couple of them have been on varsity this is their 3rd year now. So we're experienced up front. We're big and strong up front. And, when you can dominate the line of scrimmage from a defensive perspective, makes the job of the back end a little bit easier. And we've been doing a really good job with that.
Mon, final question for me is, I watched Zeeland West Catholic. That was our game on week 9 on Friday night. And you and I have talked about this. You got John Shilliter, you got Craig Tibby. Everyone seems to be tinkering a little bit. And I watched Zeeland West run some single wing, coach, and it was fun to watch. Yeah, they were doing some different things as far as their snaps and handing off back to back, and then quarterback coming in. Then they went out of the pistol. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this Zeeland West I'm watching here? But I've noticed that coaches are starting to do that. And why not when you have athletes like you do as well?
Yeah. Yeah, man, we dabbled in that single wing a few years back. That stuff is dangerous and deadly, man. And Hopkins has done it really, really well in the past couple of years. And fortunately, we always kind of expect that Cody might come out in it because he surprises us here and there. But man, I'll tell you this, I hate to prepare for that single wing stuff. It is a bugger to defend. And you got to be extremely disciplined or they're going to get your eyes going all over the place. And then you're going the wrong direction. And there they go for a big touchdown run. So, we flirt with some of those things as well. And why not? It's tough to defend, man. And if you can throw a little wrinkle in there and, bust one open, heck, it's good stuff.
Hey, all I ask is Jay and I with media, if we do one of your games, let us know if that's in the package, because trying to figure out who's back there at quarterback and running back, Jay, hold on to your hats. It's not fun as a play-by-play guy.
Will do, man.
I know you were thinking about you might be playing Montague. I was rooting for you to be playing Montague too, because I was hoping maybe I'd be there calling the game, but it was not to be. All right, this is what I want. Last thing I want to talk to you about is Division 6. So whoever you play in the district final is going to be a really good opponent, right? And Kent City is playing Olivet, and Kent City's 9-0, and they're going to Olivet. And we saw this last year with Northview, and we saw it a few years back with Comstock Park. There's a lot of momentum. People want to see the regional, and it's certainly, you got to feel bad for a team to go 9-0 and not get a home playoff game. Do you feel like we're at the point where we need to do something?
Well, I've felt that way for a lot of years, because no matter where I'm coaching, I seem to be the one that gets thrown wherever, east, north, south. And, I do understand the issue is travel. But if you look, just from a Division VI perspective, if you look at the seedings of what they are and what they were projected, teams are traveling. Travel, it's just a part of what we do. And even in the regular season now, travel is become a non-issue, at least in my opinion, because it's so hard to get games. Your quality teams are having to travel we have teams going out of the state to find games. So I just wish the MHSAA would take travel out of the equation, because we're going to have to travel no matter what. And I think that if, they want to get the best teams to have the opportunity to win a state championship, why not seed the entire division? Why not seed it all? I look at Division V and West Catholic and Catholic Central playing each other in a district. Those are two of the best teams in the division, and one of them is going to be out in round 2. It just seems like a better product if we seed at least the region. But I would even go further and say seed the whole field, and let's play 1 plays 32, 2 plays 31. Take travel out of it and let the best teams play, and hopefully we'll get the best product at the end, which is what we should want, right? So I'm a proponent of seeding it all.
Awesome, appreciate it, great stuff. Good luck. Good luck this week. Thanks for being on. We'll be watching for sure.
Thanks, guys. And hey, just for the record, I wouldn't have a problem walking to that locker room at Ford Field. Not one, but they could put me in the next building over. I wouldn't care.
Hey, congratulations, Coach, on the 4-peat. That's tough to do in any division, as you know.
Winning isn't easy, man.
All right, see ya. Oh, great stuff with Monty Price. Yeah, I tell you what, Brett, that district, man, Kent City 9-0 going to Olivet. I'm telling you, Olivet's good. Their only loss is to Portland.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, and they came over and took it to Comstock Park, right, on Friday night. So you get a little bit of, gauging as far as the OK Silver fans, what you're facing with Olivet with that win. And Jay, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I wrote down that I was hoping we could talk about tonight, was because of the fact that we've seen it with Ryan Oshnock and Northview last year, having to go to Byron Center. Great point with Comstock Park. I did that game when they had to go to Hausman Field, and I think it was West Catholic, right, at the time that they had to face. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate. I think we're getting there as far as the seeding in different sports and the progression. It's just going to take some time. And it's funny because Monty and I think some of the ADs, not that they didn't understand it as head coaches, but now that they're a part of that AD process, wearing that other hat too, they get it. They understand what it is. It's not a perfect system. And hopefully we'll get there, because I agree with it. You hate to see it. And like I said, that's not a Grand Rapids perspective. He brought up West Catholic, Catholic Central, which is a great example, but it happens all the time. And people in Detroit, like I said earlier to start the podcast, are saying the same thing, right? Why do we have to face each other? Why does the Detroit Catholic Central have to face someone so good like whoever you want to throw in there that they face maybe in a district or a regional final to even get to a semifinal?
Yeah, Detroit Catholic Central, I think, would be a heavy favorite in their district. West Bloomfield, maybe the toughest challenge, but their regional is either Clarkston, Davison, Grand Blanc, which
right.
Yeah.
How about that district, just to get out of that district?
Yeah, really tough. All right. I want to ask you about Division II real quick. I noticed we share our top 10s on email, and all year long since Byron Center got their third loss, you haven't even considered them. You haven't considered them. They won 5 in a row, Brett. They beat Mona Shores. They beat an undefeated team out of Illinois. I would not want to play them right now. You're still not buying into your Bulldogs?
I agree with you. And certainly Mark Sisko's done a great job with the coaching staff. I know there was a ton of turnovers in that game on Friday night that they won down there. Not to say that they, you have to defensively make those turnovers right. I think there was 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles in the first half by Morris, Illinois, which is tough to come back from, but give credit to the Byron Center defense. When I look at the way their schedule is set up, Muskegon's still looming there. Portage Central still looming there for these guys. And I'm going to have to see it, I guess. I really like Portage Central. I think Portage Central in that district is going to be a tough out. BC will have to go to there. What's interesting for those people who don't know, they scrimmage against each other. It's that great scrimmage I talk about every year with Rockford, Portage Central, Byron Center, and Forest Hills Eastern. So they know each other very well. The physicality of Portage Central, in my opinion, is off the charts. And boy, I look at Muskegon as well. And those are two teams that, what did they do to Byron Center? They're very physical with Byron Center. Hudsonville was as well. Now, they played Hudsonville better, but in that game, Easton Weichers, I don't know what his level of injury is. We know he's not 100%, but in that Hudsonville game, I felt he was probably as close to 100% as maybe he's been in this stretch. Now, I haven't seen him recently. You've seen him more recently than I have, but that's the concern I have with them. I love Campaign. He can be physical, and not that the Byron Center kids aren't tough by any means. I mean, like you said, they're riding a 5-game winning streak, but it takes it to another level, I think, with Muskegon and Portage Central. And I think we're going to harken back, Jay, to that year not too long ago when Muskegon and Portage Central faced in that classic semifinal, right? It was a low-scoring game, a one-score game. I just think Mick Ender's team is that good. His conference is down that he's faced. I understand that. But to give up 18 points in 9 games, I mean, that's almost unheard of. And they're that good, as you know. And they've got college football players on that team that are going to go and play from Division I to Division II all the way down.
You know what's interesting in Division II, and this just dawned on me right before you came out. I was completely didn't even see it. Brother Rice and St. Mary's are on the west side of the bracket, right? So if the Portage Central Muskegon matchup you referred to happens, that'll be a regional final.
Correct.
And the winner of that will play likely. I mean, Brother Rice and St. Mary's are the 3 and 4 seed in their district. I still think one of those two is going to be there in the semifinal. They'll have to play them in the semifinal. The bottom half of that district is, in my opinion, the bottom half of the Division II bracket, not nearly as good as the top. The top is completely loaded. And the bottom half of that bracket, there is guaranteed to be a team play at Ford Field that never has before. Because you can go right down the list, and none of these teams, South Line East, Dexter, Livonia Franklin, Gibraltar Carlson, Allen Park. Allen Park's been to Silverdome. I guess Allen Park would be the one that's been to a state final.
But it's been a while, to your point.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom half of that bracket is wide open and not nearly as strong as the top half. So for a Muskegon or a Byron Center to get back to Ford Field, they're going to have to go through probably a St. Mary's or a Brother Rice.
And you know who's loving this conversation if he's watching it right now? Is Matt Koziak, because we haven't mentioned Mona Shores, and that's no discredit to Mona Shores. They'll have their shot at the Big Reds, as you know, and I think that's your game of the week coming up on Friday night, the rematch of Muskegon and the Sailors.
Absolutely. All right, Division IV. Do you think I'm crazy? I still really – I mean, listen, I think Harper Woods is going to win the state championship. I think they're just better than everybody else. But I like Unity Christian's chances here because they lost on Friday. Is that crazy? Like – they a little adversity is good. A little playing from behind, like I don't know. I like Unity Christian on the top.
Well, look what happened. Look what happened to your point last year, and it's certainly been a part of their history, right? Remember when they rolled Edwardsburg and they looked like the unbeatable team, and then they got knocked off in the championship game. That unbelievable comeback that was taking place in front of our own eyes. It was like wow by Chelsea and Coach Lucas. And then you look at last year, right? Maybe surprising how good they were because I didn't pick them, I don't know about you, to win a very deep and tough OK Gold once they reshuffled the deck in the OK Conference. I just didn't see that. And they did it, I would say, rather handily. And so then what happens? In a rematch situation, South Christian gets them. There's that rivalry. So it's certainly been a part of UC's history. Now, with that said, it's one loss every year we're talking about. They've had tremendous years, and they have another good team. But to what you're saying, I do think there's something to that. I think it takes a little pressure off. Maybe it refocuses a team, whatever the case might be, and that could certainly help Unity Christian. You know who's looming down there, but they got to get by a very good team. They can't look ahead. You could have a Unity Christian, if I'm correct, Ludington regional final, right?
That's correct.
Division 4. And, of course, Ludington, no disrespect, they got to get past Big Rapids, which there's some history there.
Correct. Yeah, that for sure. For sure. Here, also in Division 4, this was fascinating to me. South Christian goes to Portland. Like, I think Portland's good enough to get to Ford Field. I really do. I think that's a really tough first round matchup, though. I think they can beat South Christian, and then they might probably will. But I think that's a tough game for Portland. I honestly think that's tougher than any game they would have until the semifinals.
Yes. And when it's not cold in Portland, I've been there when it's cold in Portland and deer have been running around towards the end zone. It's a tough place to play, as you know. It's a great atmosphere. I love it over there in Portland. They've got a championship pedigree. Portland and South Christian have faced each other, certainly. I think, was it 2 years ago that they met? And I want to say maybe a semifinal or a regional final in Division IV. And South Christian pulled it out, but it was a hard-fought game. And I believe Portland had a player that was injured that was one of their key players going into that game. And so not that affected the outcome, but again, injuries are part of it right now. You heard Ty Spencer earlier saying one of the things he loves about his team is they're fairly healthy going into the playoffs, which isn't always the case. So that's going to be one. I agree with you. I wouldn't want to be Portland and have that as my draw. Any team that has playoff state championship history, and you might say, well, they're down a little bit this year. They're 4-5, or they're 5-4, or they're 6-3. You still know who they've played and what their schedule is. And South Christian's played every style, every type of opponent. I mean, Catholic Central, right? A one-score game. Catholic Central was 9-0. And we know what Catholic Central's like. So, yeah, if you're Portland right now, that wasn't the best draw you got for week one, getting South Christian.
No, I agree. I think that's going to be a fantastic. All right, Division 5, right? It really, no disrespect. I mean, it's Catholic Central and West Catholic, and they're going to play in the district final.
I agree. It's what we thought. We were at West Catholic, and I was very impressed with their win over Zeeland West. That's a good Zeeland West team, by the way. I hadn't seen them yet. They're physical. They do a lot of different things. Like I said, they throw out a single wing. They put a quarterback who can throw the football in Albrecht in a pistol formation, just like a lot of other teams do. They did some interesting stuff, and I credit West Catholic. They got some turnovers, and they won a physical game that I think Landon Grove enjoyed because it was another test for his team. I don't think they always felt the physicality in the OK White week in and week out like they got with their non-conference schedule, right? They played Northview in week one. They lost that game. Since then, they've rolled off 8 straight. But, that Zeeland West team was a physical, big team who, let's not forget, beat them a year ago and are the defending state champs in Division III. And I also want to say this. Jeff Bullhouse and his staff, after the retirement of John Shillito, a legend, and I know John's still helping out the program maybe with scouting or whatever the case might be, they did a nice job. I mean, they were creative, very impressed with what that coaching staff did this year and the players they have. And they're not going to be an easy out come playoff time. I can tell you that.
I tell you, who's happy is Whitehall and Tri-County. Now, they're going to play each other in the first round of the playoffs, but they wouldn't run into that West Catholic Central until the semifinal. And listen, you can say what you want. I mean, these coaches in Division 5, when you get to avoid those two teams, it means something, right? And so that's a pretty good draw, I think. I think Whitehall Tri-County is going to be a fantastic game, by the way.
And see, and to what we just had with the Belding head coach on Imani Price, that's what he's saying. It's like those schools are so close to each other, and yet the way it's drawn out now without seeding, they're not going to meet till the semifinals. I mean, so that's his point, is you're going to travel anyways when you shuffle the deck each year with these as far as the regions. So why not just go to seeding, I think was his point, right?
Yeah, I mean, because Whitehall or Tri-County could potentially go to Kingsford or Negaunee, and
right?
Swan Valley or Clare. I mean, these are all long trips.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do it anyway. So what's the matter if they do it in week 1 or week 3? I think was kind of his point.
And listen, when you make these brackets, right, you're going to draw the line somewhere. That's how Snooze to You was born. You remember you were there when Coopersville and Zeeland West played in the state championship game.
Yeah.
And that's why Snooze was like, how did those two schools end up in the state championship game? They're right next to each other. Well, that's what happened in Division 6. Olivet's in that district of Belding. Olivet and Jackson are very close together. But Olivet and Lumen Christi aren't going to play if they match up until the state championship game. So you're going to have to draw the line somewhere anyway. So travel, it just, I don't know. It's tough. I understand it. It's just really tough. All right. Division 7, boy, Pewamo Westphalia is in the district with Ravenna and North Muskegon. That was a tough round for our West Michigan Conference. I really like Ravenna. I think they've been playing some really good football. I like the way Dylan May's playing, but man, having to go to PW in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, PW is just so good.
And you saw PW back in week 1 at North Muskegon. And so North Muskegon would be a potential second round game if they get by their win in week 1. And obviously, if Pewamo Westphalia knocks off Ravenna, I agree. I saw that, and that was my first thought is, boy, tough for Ravenna and North Muskegon to have that draw. But again, PW is one of those in Division 7. Where do you put them, right? They got to go somewhere.
No, you're right. They do. Yeah, that's when you get those schools in the middle of the state, like a Portland, like a Pewamo, like a DeWitt. Are they going to go east? Are they going to go west? That's always the thing they have to wait and see. And so PW goes west.
I do want to give a little love, though, to Saranac. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Saranac team that had 7 wins like that. I mean, good for them as far as they'll be facing North Muskegon at North Muskegon in week 1.
I think that'll be a good matchup, too. You're right. Because the CMAC is a good league. And so they lost to Fowler and PW and then beat everybody else. So I think that'll be a good matchup. I just saw North Muskegon, 2 days ago, and they were moving the football. They just didn't finish drives in the first half. In the second half, they started scoring, but they were trying to play catch up and just couldn't quite do it. I think they need to run the ball a little bit more. I know they're really good at throwing it. We talked with Ty Spencer about the weather and what can happen in Michigan. I would like to see North Muskegon be a little better at running the football. I think that would be good for them. But I do think that matchup is interesting with Saranac. So. All right. What else? Anything else that's on the top of your mind here that you wanted to talk about?
Is there any district? I told you my district in Division 3 with Coop at Kennewick Hills and Cedar Springs at East Grand Rapids. And for those who are just tuning in, that is going to be our 96-1, the game. I'll go ahead and announce it, game of the week. And, of course, I'll have it tomorrow morning on Wood Radio with our sports updates. But 8-1 Cedar Springs, 7-2 East Grand Rapids, 2 teams we haven't covered yet this season. So the drive to Ford Field will start there on 96-1, the game on Friday night. It's going to be great at Memorial Field. But is there one particular district that jumps out to you, whether it's West Michigan teams or not?
Yeah, I mean, the one that jumps out to me for West Michigan teams is that one, the Cedar, East Grand Rapids, Kennewauk, Coopersville. Because I was thinking we might not get an East Grand Rapids, Kennewauk game until a semifinal. And
right
now they're going to be in a district final, but I don't even know if that's going to happen because they both have such tough first-round matchups. Not involving West Michigan teams, the best district is, Davison, Grand Blanc, Clarkston. Yeah. All in the same district. And it makes sense if you're doing it by geography because they're very close together. But yeah, I mean, that's a gauntlet. And the other one is in D7. And I talked about this before you jumped on. You got Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, Clinton, and Whiteford all in the same district. Yeah. So I could see the winner. Now the winner that's going to have to play Millington in the regional. Millington's defending state champ, but I could see whoever comes out of that district getting to Ford Field. That's a really tough district.
Yeah, for people who don't know the history, I know the history of Clinton. I've got some friends down there, and they're a proud program. I believe they've been to the state championship at least once that I can remember recently. And obviously, Monroe St. Mary Catholic, they're a power every year. And then you throw in, was it Whiteford,
Ottawa Lake Whiteford, yeah.
Yeah, Ottawa Lake. I mean, just tremendous down there on the east side of the state. So,
and Whiteford had been to Fort Field a bunch in D8. Now they're up in D7.
Right.
And their only loss was to Harbor Beach. And I'm telling you, Harbor Beach, I think D8's better than D7, to be honest with you. Harbor Beach, Hudson, and Beale City. So, that's a really good district for St. Mary Catholic Central. Clinton's good, really good this year. And then Whiteford. So, yeah, there's definitely some tough. The Belding district is really tough with Olivet City in it.
It is. I that was a tough draw, I thought, for, Kent City being 9-0 and having to go on the road. And like I said, I know Olivet is good. They always are. And what they did to Comstock Park on Friday night, you take notice of that. So it's going to be fun. Bring it on Friday night. And, boy, you can't get 2 better games to kick off the drive to Ford Field than you guys with the rematch, Muskegon and Mona Shores on Friday night and 107 MUS The Moose, 6:30, with the pregame. It's not a 6 o'clock start anymore. Because no more J&H Family Stores pregame show. We only do that through the regular season with all the games. So you guys will start at 6:30. We'll start at 6:30, Buck Jr. and I as well. And that will be Cedar Springs at 8-1 at East Grand Rapids at Memorial Field at 7-2 on 96-1 the game.
Do you mind giving your state champion picks? I did mine right before you jumped on.
Oh, I got to have more time. Come on now.
I went Cass Tech in 1, and I went St. Mary's to repeat in 2. That was 2 was tough, especially the top half of that bracket being so loaded. I went Detroit King in 3, 4 I went Harper Woods, 5 I went Catholic Central, 6 I went Lumen Christi. I kind of went some chalk. I went PW in 7, and I went Hudson in 8. So probably none of those teams are going to win it. So if I said their name, I'm sorry, I ruined it.
I'm going to tease mine that maybe you can get it out of me for the high school football preview show on Thursday night.
Also, I also have my 8-player champions. I'm going Martin in D1 and Portland St. Pat's in D2.
That's why he's the book, folks, right there. He's already done it.
Don't tell my friend Travis Meyer I picked Martin and I didn't pick his team to win in 8-player. So all right, Brett, man. I appreciate you jumping on here. I know it's been a busy day, and it's a lot of fun this time of year when the brackets come out. So thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Hutton. Appreciate it.